Cancel culture in the stockade right now. Morgan Wallen, the rising country star. What is his sin? This white guy, while drunk, yelled at another white friend, "Hey, the N-word." And some neighbor captured it. Apparently the neighbor always thought Morgan Wallen was rowdy and wanted to stick it to him. And boy, did he ever. Here's what was captured on tape.
Take care of this pussy. Hey, actually, hey, y'all too? Yeah. Hey, take care of this motherfucker. Oh. Hey, Gracie, take care of this.
And the fit hit the shan. Playlist dropped him. His agency dropped him. His record company said they were going to suspend his contract, whatever that means. And of course, Morgan Wallen put out a very, very remorseful apology.
Hey y'all, it's Morgan. I'm long overdue to make a statement regarding my last incident. I wanted to collect my thoughts, seek some real guidance, and come to you with a complete thought before I did. I was made aware of the video being posted to TMZ with hardly any time to think before it was released to the public. I was asked if I wanted to apologize, and of course I did. I wrote many detailed thoughts, and only a portion of those got used, which painted me in an even more careless light. I'm here to hopefully show you that that's not the truth. The video you saw was me on hour 72 of 72 of a bender, and that's not something I'm proud of either. Obviously, the natural thing to do is to apologize further and just continue to apologize, but because you got caught, and that's not what I wanted to do. I let so many people down, and who mean a lot to me, and who have given so much to me, and it's just not fair. I let my parents down, and they're the furthest thing from the person in that video. I let my son down, and I'm not okay with that. So this week I've been waiting to say anything further until I got the chance to apologize to those closest to me that I knew I personally hurt. I also accepted some invitations from some amazing black organizations, some executives and leaders to engage in some very real and honest conversations.
So what's the rule? Apparently, if you're white, you can never use that word, whether you're talking about a white person or whether you're talking to black friends. You can never use that word no matter what. I guess that's the rule.
We'd love to have you work in the fields with us.
Work in the field?
That's part of that. That's
Senator, I'm a house. No, it's...
Well, when Bill Maher said that, the fit hit the shan. Now, Maher prides himself on having friendships with blacks. Do you think that Bill Maher might have used that word privately with his black friends? I think so. You think they probably gave him permission and laughed when he used it? I think so. But when he used it publicly, where were his friends? How come one of his buddies didn't say, well, come on, Bill uses that word all the time because we use that word all the time? They threw him under the bus.
I knew you was gonna f up sooner or later.
It was wrong, and I apologized. And, you know, more than that I can't do.
I accept your apology, but I still think we need to get to the root of the psyche, because I think it's a lot of guys out there who cross the line because they a little too familiar, or they think they too familiar, or it's guys that, you know, they might have a black girlfriend or two that made them some Kool-Aid every now and then, and they think they can cross the line.
Please, what are the rules? Rappers say this kind of stuff all the time, and they use it as a noun, like him or her or you.
Whenever the word is spoken, it is always followed by the same question. Can white people say?
Because we understood that this was clearly lying.
But they were worried about the word being said 110 times. Mm-hmm. I had to ask Quentin as we was working, because I was like, hey man, how you know how to do this black shit? How you know how to say the word in the right way and all that kind of shit? How do you know this?
It takes, see, that's what, I'm not gonna cut you out, but to say like Justin Bieber didn't know how to say it. It's the way to say it. Quentin Tarantino, when he say it, motherfuckers don't feel offensive. We feel like, yeah, you're right.
So I'm doing motherfucking press for rhythm and flow, and this little mother had interviews with him before, but this time I feel like you really trying, because I don't play when it comes to my kid.
Racism, we are not cured of. Clearly. And it's not just a matter of it not being polite to say in public.
Now people screaming what the deal with you is so and so. I tell them mind their biz, but they don't hear me though.
There's white everywhere.
As mentioned, rappers, comedians, they say this all the time. But when Bill Maher said it, where were his friends?
I knew you was gonna up sooner or later.
I mean, how far do we take this cancel culture? Dianne Feinstein canceled?
So the wider message is we're contributing to condemning racist symbols, and we're also learning about that work and ensuring that our youth is a part of changing that.
So let me get this straight. Dianne Feinstein, when she was mayor of San Francisco, replaces a Confederate flag that had been stolen, and the Confederate flag was in front of the city hall, not to commemorate it, but to talk about the history of America and how it's evolved. So some dude steals it, Feinstein replaces it one day, guy steals it again, Feinstein this time does not replace it. But because she replaced it for a couple of days or so, she has now been canceled from the Dianne Feinstein Elementary School. How far do we take this? What about JFK? What? JFK. One of his campaign associates was none other than the great entertainer Sammy Davis Jr. Sammy Davis campaigned tirelessly for JFK, and Sammy Davis was going to get married to a white actress named Mai Britt. He postponed his wedding at the request of JFK because he did not want JFK to lose the South. JFK thought that the marriage might be problematic. So Sammy Davis Jr. postponed his wedding until after JFK won the election. And then you know what happened? JFK withdrew the invitation for Sammy Davis Jr. to perform at his inauguration. I kid you not. How racist is that? Has anybody canceled JFK? What about RFK, his brother? RFK is the one who authorized wiretaps on Martin Luther King. Has he ever been canceled? And speaking of Martin Luther King, in 1958, he was a columnist for a magazine called Ebony. And some gay teenager writes him and says, "What should I do about this? What should I do about this attraction I have?" And MLK said, "Well, the fact that you recognize you have a problem shows that you're on a path to solving it. Seek professional help. Talk to your clergyman." This is the kind of advice that would get you called homophobic today. And given the fact that we're canceling people based on standards of today applied to yesterday, does MLK, JFK, RFK, do all these men get canceled? It's amazing the people who get canceled and who don't. I expressed my sentiments about a couple of people who might be candidates, Maxine Waters and Chuck Schumer. Look at some of the characters involved in this play. Maxine Waters. Everybody knows Maxine Waters urged supporters to threaten Donald Trump cabinet members. She said, push back on them, surround them, form a crowd, let them know they're not welcome anywhere anymore. Forget about that. This is a woman who wrote a letter to Fidel Castro when Congress passed a resolution urging Castro to send back to America a woman who had murdered a New Jersey trooper, broke out of prison, and fled to Cuba. Maxine Waters writes Castro a letter, likens her to a freedom fighter. She's a former Black Panther, and says that the only reason she was prosecuted is because she was been persecuted for political beliefs, and urged Castro to keep this woman. She remains there as we speak. Chuck Schumer, of course, is going to vote to convict President Trump. Chuck Schumer has often played the race card. When asked whether or not Donald Trump is a racist, he said, well, he has said racist things. 1974, a young, upcoming, ambitious politician named Chuck Schumer met with some racist neighbors in an area in New York called Flatbush. There were two buildings, Tucker, that had black tenants. They weren't causing any problems. They weren't committing any crimes, but these racist neighbors wanted them out. The young Schumer met with the neighbors, and he said, look, here's what I'll do. Vote for me, and I'll introduce a measure to renovate these buildings. They'll have a right of first refusal, of course, but we'll make them so nice they won't be able to afford to come back. And voila, He introduced the scheme to do that. Unfortunately for Schumer and the racist neighbors, the blacks were able to come up with the money to move back into digs that were nicer than the digs they left, but not for want of trying. Now, the man who was attending this meeting is named Jay Homnick. He's a writer, Tucker, for American Spectator. He wrote about this in 2006. I've interviewed him several times over the years on my radio show. And I've asked him, has anybody from the New York Times, Washington Post asked you about this? He said no. The media are completely uninterested in this racist scheme to purge a New York neighborhood in 1974 of black people. Now, 1974 is a long time ago, I'll give you that. But that's the same time that Donald Trump, a young Donald Trump, entered into a consent decree with the FHA to discontinue practices that the FHA felt were discriminatory against would-be black and brown renters. And that is often cited as a reason for Donald Trump's alleged racism. Around the same time, Chuck Schumer introduced this racist scheme to purge a New York neighborhood of black people, and nobody gives a damn. This is the kind of double standard that we've been up against for years, and I am sick of it. I am sick of it. These characters involved in getting rid of Donald Trump, impeaching him, and now convicting him have done horrific things, and the media could not care less. Who writes a letter to Castro? Who in 1974 introduces a plan to get rid of black people? Who does that? Media indifferent. Finally, in our cancellation culture, I want to talk about three people who have never been canceled: Morgan Freeman, James Earl Jones, and Samuel L. Jackson. All of them great actors, all of them doing a lot of pitch work for other products. All of them would have been canceled if the standards were applied evenly. Let's take Morgan Freeman first. Here's what he said about Mitch McConnell, implying that Mitch McConnell was a racist just because he wanted Barack Obama to be a one-term president. Don't Democrats want Republicans to be one-term presidents and vice versa? How is that racist?
The Tea Partiers, who are controlling the Republican Party, stated, and what's this guy's name? Mitch McConnell. Is that his name, McConnell?
Yeah, Mitch McConnell, yeah.
Mitch McConnell. Their stated policy, publicly stated, is to do whatever it takes to see to it that Obama only serves one term. What is that? What underlines that? Screw the country. We're going to do whatever we do to get this black man. We're going to do whatever we can to get this black man out of here.
But is that necessarily a racist thing?
It is a racist thing.
Is it?
Hasn't stopped any of Morgan Freeman's voiceovers or commercials.
From the time I played God in the movies, people seem to confuse me with him.
Quiet! Hush your mouth. I told y'all mother, y'all can't stop me now.
It doesn't matter where you're coming from or where you're headed to. We could all use a little help on the highways and byways of life.
Get down, get funky, and let your freak flag fly.
Not canceled. This brings us to James Earl Jones, who called the Tea Party racist.
I think I figured out the Tea Party. I think I do understand racism because I was taught to be one by my grandmother. My grandmother was part Cherokee Choctaw Indian, part black. She hated everybody. She taught all of her children and grandchildren to be racist, to hate white people, and to distrust black people.
The man has not been canceled.
This is CNN, the most trusted name in news.
Finally, Samuel L. Jackson does a lot of commercials.
Why do some credit cards take a simple idea like cashback and complicate it by limiting where you earn bonus cash back?
5G ultra wideband is here. The fastest 5G in the world with ultra low lag and console level gaming on the go. Don't get cute with my Echo.
Can I help you, he said. Nice shoes, I said. You bet, he said. How much, I said. You can't put a price on the stars, he said. Talk straight, I said. On the moon, he said. These shoes, he said, are almost like something being said.
Siri.
Sam.
You can take the night off.
If you say so.
About the allegedly racist Donald Trump, here's what Mr. Jackson said. I think we feel the same way that all of the mother effers that hated Obama felt for 8 years. So they said all that blank. They put blanking pictures up on the internet of Michelle sitting with her legs crossed with a blank hanging down. We feel the same way that they feel or they felt about Obama being the man, even though he wasn't effing ruining their lives. He was trying to help their lives. This mother effer is like ruining the planet, and all kinds of other crazy blank. And the people think that's okay. That's not effing okay. And if you're not saying anything, then you're complicit. And I wouldn't give a blank if I was a garbage man and I had a Twitter account. I tweet that blank out. I'm not thinking about who I am and what my job is when I do that blank, end of quote. Wow. Imagine what would happen to other pitch people like, I don't know, William Devane or Mike Ditka if they said anything like that. But there's a no-fly zone over Messrs. Morgan Freeman, Samuel Jackson, and James Earl Jones. And still, we're talking about systemic racism? Really? Finally, we end with this. As I mentioned, Morgan Wallen's agency, William Morris Endeavor, dropped him because of his use of the N-word that was captured on that neighbor's cam. The head of William Morris Endeavor is Ari Emanuel. He was my agent for a number of years. One time we're on the phone, we're talking, and it got heated, and we started quarreling about something. I don't even remember what it was. He hung up, I hung up, but the phone didn't disconnect, and I was going to make another phone call. And he called me a black mother effer. Didn't know that I was on the line. So I called right back. He took the call. And I said, Ari, I heard you call me a black mother effer. He denied it. I said, yes, you did. You called me a black mother effer. And let me tell you something. I am a black mother effer. Now make me a richer black mother effer. And I hung up the phone. And now Wallin has been canceled for using the N-word, and I was called a black mother effer by the head of the agency? Only in America. Don't forget, we have been demonetized by YouTube. Why am I smiling? Because it means we must be doing something right. To continue to get me uncensored and on demand, go to LarryTube.com. That's simple, LarryTube.com, and let's keep them coming.